Welcome to the Madness4life News Podcast with your host, Matt Maldonado. Yeah, welcome to the 8th podcast of June 20th, 2012, the Wednesday edition. I am your host, Matt Maldonado. On this beautiful day, I'm going to be getting into Mexico and Canada invited to the secret TPP negotiations, where they have the transnational corporations coming in and controlling everything for international law. Romney, Bilderberg Pick Rubio being vented for VP. Ron Paul, there's no way I'm endorsing Romney. That's right. Even though he wants to literally join the neocons and think that he's going to change the platform, just like Barry Goldwater, even though they didn't really listen to him and he just faded off into existence. All right, let's get into this one. Obama hides behind executive privileges in damage control over Fast and Furious. Panel votes to solidify holder for contempt of Congress. And number 5, House introduces to ban EPA spy flights. All right, let's just get into this right now. The Mexico and Canada invited to join the secret TPP negotiations, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. This is from New America. Infowars.com has picked it up today. This week, President Obama and U.S. Trade Representative USTR Ron Kirk announced that China and Mexico have been invited to join the secret negotiation aimed at establishing the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That which I've read, the fact that it brings in transnational corporations, takes over corporations, literally brings in international law to follow those laws, just so like Gibson, if they're trying to work on the wood of Gibson, then they literally arrest that corporation and they implode it. They give them taxes and they raid the places again and say, hey, you're not going with international law. Well, there is no international law. Well, we just said so. We're just going to take this business over and you're going to do what we say. Tough luck. It's going to be just like NAFTA. And it's going to be fun for all. In an announcement published Monday on the USTR website, Kirk wrote, "We are delighted to invite Mexico, our neighbor and second largest export market, to join the TPP negotiations. Mexico's interest in the TPP reflects its recognition that the TPP represents the most promising pathway to boosting trade across the Asia Pacific and to encouraging region trade and integration. We look forward to continuing consultations with the Congress and domestic stakeholders as we move forward." So what they're going to do is they're going to try to bring more transparency with the with trade. So if you don't trade the way they tell you to, they're going to go, okay, we're going to put sanctions on your country now. Just like in Africa, in the continent, in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, and in Iran, or in other countries as well. Syria. Hey, they need help. So what? We're going to just put a violation of the international law, and we're going to put sanctions on you. Whoa, okay, what, did I ever do any war? No, you didn't, but you know what, we're going to put sanctions on you so your people will starve to death. Isn't it fun? That statement was followed by a similar one on Tuesday, welcoming Canada to the TPP fold. Inviting Canada to join the TPP negotiations presents a unique opportunity for the United States to build upon this already dynamic trading relationship through the TPP. We are bringing the relationship with our largest trading partner into the 21st century. We look forward to continuing consultations with the Congress and domestic stockholders regarding Canada's entry into the TPP as we move closer to a broad-based, high-standard trade agreement in the Asia-Pacific region. So they're trying to also push, I would say, a North American Union probably for this TPP to first acclimate everybody into a trade organization that literally ships your jobs overseas, that literally continues to destabilize your country, to just keep the globalists to destabilizing three great countries. Mexico could be easily one of the biggest trade and marketable countries of ever. I mean, the distribution of also farmland could easily be larger than our own. But hey, they destabilized it, and now it's no more. All it is just basically like our country, just falling apart. And Canada is soon to join us. Well, actually, wait, they already joined us. And it is just sickening. Continuing here. If I can finish it. Let me see if I can finish this. Yeah, I have enough time. Notably, in both statements, Ambassador Kirk places the approval of domestic stockholders, read large corporations, on a level with that of the Congress. It is Presley with this exalting of big business that has troubled many of the people's representatives in Congress. For example, last week, Zach Carter of the Huffington Post reported that Senator Ron Wyden, the Democrat from Oregon, the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee's Subcommittee on International Trade, Customs, and Global Competitiveness, was stonewalled by the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative, USTR, when he attempted to see any of the draft documents related to the governance of the TPP. In response to this rebuff, Wyden proposed a measure in the Senate that would force transparency of the process, and that was enough to convince the USTR to grant the Senate a peek at the documents. Through his staff was not permitted to peruse them. It's like, yeah, we'll give you the documents. We're just going to show the fact we're just going to continue to destabilize your country. You know, it's good. It's for trade routes, and, you know, it's if you don't do what we say for the trades and do it for the routes for the trades at your coast, then we're going to put sanctions on you. And if you don't want to be a part of the TPP, well, guess what? Sanctions, here it comes. And the UN's going to be right behind it. Warden spokeswoman Jennifer Larzer told Huffington Post that such condonations were better than nothing. Yeah, it's better. Hey, you know, destabilization. It's, you know, it's better than nothing, but not ideal in the light of the well-known fact that on Capitol Hill, the real work on drafting and involving legislation is performed by the representatives, staff members who are often experts in procuring areas of domestic and foreign policy. I would point out how insulting it is for them to argue that members of Congress are to personally go over to USTR to view the trade documents, which actually they can usually get the documents before actually asking them because they have that right. But hey, they want to know what the president's doing, but it's also probably against the Logan Act, what he's doing, but that's all right. Hey, we want a dictator in there. Let him do what he wants. He should be arrested, but that's beside the point. An advisor at Halliburton or the MPAA is given a password that allows him or her to go on the USTR website and view the TPP agreement anytime he or she wants. That's right. A duly elected senator of the United States has to beg and plead and threaten legislation in order to be able to gain access to the TPP trade agreement. By corporate interests are given by a password by the USTR that grants them a prior access to those same documents. So they just go, okay, fine, you beg and plead, and we're not going to give it to you. Why not? Because we said so. Where's the law? We made it up. But it's good, though, you know. It's all right. It's all for us. So ridiculous. U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown, Democrat of Ohio, issued a statement criticizing the Obama administration for the lack of oversight into an agreement with devastating potential. After more than a decade of broken promises from the NAFTA, CAFTA, and normalcy trade relations with China, we can now add a credibility defense to the trade defunct even since Brown said the leaked documents surfacing today only underscore the urgency surrounding TPP negotiations and confirm worst suspicions about the direction trade negotiations are heading. It's telling that it is easier for the CEO of a major corporation to access information about the negotiations than the American people elected representatives. The negotiations must involve more transparency and bring more voices to the table. That's right. We need to have transparency of what's going on and what they're doing here, doing with NAFTA and CAFTA and the TPP, because if we don't know what's going on, they're going to continue to implode the country. Why don't we actually just get rid of it? Some of those actively battling against the formation of the TPP and the integration soared by its proponents recognize the head of large corporate interest at the helm of the ship that is sailing toward the eradication of American sovereignty. Of course, because when the business come over here, they're going to give it to immigrants that don't belong here. They're illegal, and they're going to give them the jobs, and they're going to lower standard of living, and they're going to make sure that American job owners are gone, make sure that small businesses are gone, make sure that all these transnational corporations come here, make sure all the big corporations own everything, and you have to have literally a Homeland Security inspection to make sure that in order to get a job, and it's going to be by government. So if you don't agree with the government, guess what? you're not going to get a job in the transnational corporations. All right, moving on now to the next one, which is Romney, Bilderberg, Pick Rubio being vented for VP. And by the way, you can find the other article at Infowars.com or New America, by the way. This one you can find at Infowars.com by Paul Joseph Watson. And let me say that Rubio was the pick from Bilderberg, and Mitt Romney was the pick from Bilderberg to be president of the United States this year. Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney has admitted that Florida Senator Marco Rubio is being vented as a potential running mate following suspicions that Rubio was a preferred choice for the secretive Bilderberg group. Not so secretive now because all these publications coming out saying that the Bilderberg was in Chantilly, Virginia. And Henry Kissinger and many others were there, admittedly, which has planned a role in selecting vice president candidates in the past. Marco Rubio is being thoroughly vented as part of our process, Romney told reporters during a campaign stop in Holland, Michigan, dismissing an ABC News report which claimed the senator was out of the running. There was a story that originated today, apparently at ABC, based upon reports of supposedly outside unnamed advisors of mine. I cannot imagine who such people are, Romney said, but I can tell you this. They know nothing about the vice presidential selection or indication process, vilification process, whatever it is. There are only two people in this country who know who are being vented and who are not, and that's Beth Myers and myself. As we reported back in April, which was the PrisonPlanet.com Washington Post suggests Bilderberg Group to pick Romney's running mate, which is Marco Rubio. That was back in April 2012. You can find that in Prison Planet or Infowars. As we reported back in April, Rubio, who is currently second favorite behind Rob Portman to take the vice president slot, was first mounted as a likely choice for Bilderberg by veteran Washington Post columnist Al Kamen. Kamen explained how Rubio was looked to boost his foreign policy chops by following around the likes of Obama and Hillary Clinton to international summits as a means of building his internationalist credibility. Kamen more than substantially suggest that Rubio could be a favorite of the Bilderberg Group, which he described as uber secret global power brokers, a collaboration of financiers, politicians, CEOs, etc., who routinely have an influence on the U.S. political presidential election, picking Barack Obama's VP in 2008 and John Kerry's running mate in 2004. You know, John Kerry, which is the cousin of George W. Bush, but I'll get into that later. In reporting on the conspiracy theory of Rubio being a shoe-in to be Romney's running mate thanks to his Bilderberg Street creed, Politico's Ken Vogue conceded there's just enough there to stoke questions. There are influential folks, and they've all got friends in American politics. So if they see somebody that impresses them or doesn't, I expect that they would pass that on that view on. Romney advisor and Bilderberg member Van Weber told Vogue, yeah, whatever his name is. Rubio refused to answer questions. That was on We Are Change's nice video. About the Bilderberg Group role in grooming him for the VP slot when confronted recently by We Are Change Luke Radowski. And you can find that on YouTube. According to numerous hotel staff at the Westfields Marriott in Chantilly, Virginia, Mitt Romney himself was also in attendance at the elite confined earlier this month. Several Romney advisors, including Robert Kenglin and Van Weber, are also Bilderberg members. While Rubio did not attend the conference, he systematically gave a speech in New York at the highly influential Council on Foreign Relations, Bilderberg's sister organization. You know, the ones that want global government and the carbon tax, as well as making sure that none of you eat too much popcorn or, oh wait, that was New York City. My fault. That was popcorn, sodas, and meats as well. That was in New York, Bloomberg. They could be involved in that one. Romney's is expected to announce his running mate earlier than usual, with a decision expected weeks before the RNC in August. I believe it'll probably be in June. No, not this month. Probably next month in July, near the end of July, probably. I'd probably say that. All right, moving on to the next one, which is Ron Paul. There's no way I am going to endorse Mitt Romney. This is from Steve Watson. Congressman Ron Paul has appeared on 2 major news networks and declared that there is no way he will endorse Mitt Romney for president. On last night's suggestion room with Wolf Blitzer, Paul said that despite his own son's endorsement for Mitt Romney, he would not be throwing his hat in with the former Massachusetts governor. Well, it looks like he has the delegates, yes, Paul told Blitzer, but he doesn't have the control of the hearts and minds of the people. And right now, a lot of people, a lot of delegates who are pledged to vote for Romney. Oh, and by the way, the delegate, actually, it states that the delegates don't really are bound. They're actually unbound. A lot of them are. And they can easily vote for Ron Paul. So just to keep that in mind. I lost my place. There it is, are actually very strong supporters of ours and will be strongly supporting us when we want to put things into the platform that say, hey, we don't need another war. Yes, we do need to audit the Fed Reserve and end it, by the way. It should say and end it. He should have said that. Yes, we ought to really cut spending. And by the way, if you do that, they're not going to listen. The Republicans don't care. They do not care. The Democrats do not care. They are willing to gut the country. Period. They're part of special interest groups. Period. There's very, very few. And we can stop this. We can actually reverse it to where we actually have grassroots people in Congress, in the Senate, not by special interests. Does that mean that they can't be corruptible? No. Does that mean they can actually achieve real change in there? Yes. Like Rand Paul came out and actually talked against Romney, saying that he was for a unconstitutional war, and said, "Hey, you need actually congressional approval in order to go to war." It never says in the Constitution that the president has the right to go to war. It does not. The War Powers Act actually neglects that. Makes sure that he gets the Congress's approval. Period. This is an undebatable issue. Despite assertions from Rand Paul last week that he had discussed the Romney endorsement, decided the Romney endorsement with his father, the senior Paul said he was not ready to fade away and void to fight on with his campaign all the way to the convention, even though victory is now impossible. Actually, no, victory is not impossible. Victory is a put. If everybody literally stonewalls and literally votes for Ron Paul, there you go, and then he wins. I bet you it's probably going to be just like 1920s. The 1920s where everybody just voted in somebody else because of Herbert Hoover just destroying the country so much. They voted in someone else. But that's yet to be seen. So let's see what happens. I hope that does happen at the RNC, but I don't know. I think it's legitimate for us to continue to debate, Paul said. I know they don't want the debate at the convention. Everything has to be smooth and proper. Yeah, right. The very same people that, it has to be smooth and proper. Well, guess what? We're going to arrest your supporters. You're going to arrest everybody that's grassroots. We're going to arrest them all because we think they're terrorists. Hey, if you don't like the party, well, guess what? You're going to jail. Where's the law? Doesn't matter, punk. You're going to jail. And you're going to love every bit of it. So bend over, and we're going to whip off your colostomy bag because we're going to strip search you. What's that have to do with getting arrested? Doesn't matter. Now the law says that we can strip search you no matter what. Even a small violation. If you get a traffic violation, we're going to touch it. How dare you want to be free? You scum! But I helped pay for the convention because the taxpayers pay Republicans $18 million plus, and Obama gets $18 million plus to have these grand parties. I think we should be serious and discuss differences. Oh yeah, discuss to a narcotics trafficking government, a party that literally arrests your supporters and beat them up. Oh yeah. Yeah, discuss your differences. Calling your supporters scums, idiots, and they should be arrested. Just like, Rush Limbaugh and Mike Savage. You can actually listen to the clip saying that Ron Paul is a terrorist. And him and his son should be arrested. It is just ridiculous. The congressman also declared to oppose a lawsuit that has been brought against the RNC by his supporters. The suit challenges the GOP's binding delegate rule that enforces delegates in certain states to vote for the candidate who won the state primary. It argues that delegates have the congressional right to vote their consensus at the national convention. If they have a legitimate argument that they can make, and that's what they want to do, I'm not going to say don't do it. You better not say not do it, because first of all, they have the right to vote whoever they want. It says it in their rules. This is not a debatable issue. They shouldn't have a lawsuit. But hey, they just want to keep changing the rules all the time, keep changing the laws. But hey, where's the law? It doesn't matter. We're just going to put it in there, you punk. Now sit there and shut up. Appearing on MSNBC's Morning Joe today, Paul repeated that he would not endorse Romney. I would say he has core convictions, but I just disagree with them. the congressman said. Paul also outletted his desires for the national convention, nothing that although he will not have enough delegates to take over the convention, he would release a speech on the floor, or failing that on a cite meeting to influence the party platform. You're not going to influence a bunch of criminals. You can't influence a bunch of criminals. How many times do I have to say it? Moving on here. I have to move on. And it just continues on from there, the article. Really good article by Steve Watson. Check it out. Here's another one. Obama hides behind executive pledges in damage control over Fast and Furious. Which I'm also going to get into the panel votes. Which they're voting Eric Holder in contempt. And that will literally bring down not only the Obama administration, as well as the George Bush administration. Oh yes, even congressmen will maybe be arrested. But I won't hold my breath. But it's good to watch the show. All right. From Patrick Henningsen, the House Oversight Committee hearing have put both Eric Holder and the White House on their back heels this morning, further fueling a scandal which has now forced the White House into a rear guard action in a move that is certain to fuel suspicions about Obama's knowledge of the federal government's scandalous gun-running operations into the Mexican black market. The president has moved to claim executive pledge regarding any documents relating to the notorious Operation Fast and Furious. The case was released a critical juncture as the House panel has finally moved to hold Attorney General Eric H. Holder Jr. in criminal contempt after he failed to comply with official congressional request to hand over thousands of cables and documents related to the scandal. According to the reports this morning from the Washington Post, I'm only going to do this one. I'm going to continue with the last but not least one. I'm going to do the votes soon after this Washington Post report. In a letter sent to Obama late Tuesday, Holder argued Obama to exert executive pledges because sharing internal documents with lawmakers could have significant damaging consequences. Oh, you think it's going to basically come apart and basically make you get arrested? And make you step down and also resign. And basically make Obama resign. And Joe Biden. Sharing the documents would inhibit concord of such executive branch deliberations in the future and significantly impair the executive branch's ability to respond independently and effectively to congressional oversight, Holder wrote to Obama. Last night, the embattled U.S. Attorney General Holder attempted to cut a deal with the House and Senate committees, and he goes, okay, fine. All right, I'll give you the documents, but I'm not going to resign. Hoping to walk free in exchange for handing over missing documents, but Holder's offer was rejected by House Oversight and Government Reform Committee Chairman Darrell Issa, who plans to move ahead with a motion for contempt. And I'm going to go right to that article right now. Here it is, House panel votes. Here it is, right from the USA Today. Votes to put Holder for contempt of Congress. A House Oversight Committee vote Wednesday to hold Attorney General Eric Holder in contempt, marking an essential of the long-running dispute between Republicans and the Justice Department over internal administration documents related to Operation Fast and Furious. The 23-17 vote to hold Holder in contempt of Congress came as President Obama on Wednesday morning invoked executive pledges of certain documents related to the confidential punched gun trafficking sitting. It's unlawful to do that, though. But hey, it's like, hey, oh, you want the documents? Well, guys, we're just going to keep them. You're not going to have them, Congress. What do you think this is, America? Now sit there and shut up, punk. See what happens when you have a criminal government? And then also, if they release those documents, hey, they can also release other things from the Congress that they have done also criminally as well. And all the house of cards will fall. But that's what's going to happen in order to stop this. Representative Darrell Issa, the chairman of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, and Holder met late Tuesday for about 20 minutes in an unsuccessful last-minute effort to hand off Wednesday's contempt hearing. Holder told reporters following the meeting that he offered to provide the documents on the conduction, that Issa gave his assertion that doing so would solidify two committee sub-panels and resolve the dispute. Okay. Continuing here, last but not least, the House introduces to ban EPA spy flights. I have still a little bit, so that's good. It's illegal to do so, and now they're finally going to have to pass a law. When Rand Paul came out and said, listen, you have to have a police report to actually do this drone spying on people. It's like, yeah, you're right, but we're going to do that anyway. Well, guess what? We're going to actually introduce a bill to make sure that that's not going to happen. You can't do that. Well, we're going to do it anyway. House have introduced legislation on GOP looks to block EPA from using drones to enforce clean water rules, which that is from The Hill. You can find that from the link here. That would prevent the EPA from conducting, I'm reading it from Infowars.com, and it's Kurt Nemo, the writer, from conducting aerial drone surveillance of American farmers under the guise of enforcing the Clean Water Act. Oh, and by the way, that they're only using it for independent farmers. Oh, yeah, not corporations, even though they also pollute the air and pollute the waters. But, hey, that's okay. Moving on, Representative Shelley Moore Chippo's bill would force the EPA to get written consent, given public notice, and provide evidence that the Clean Water Act is being violated, according to The Hill. Yeah, because you need literally consent from the police department. They have to actually say, oh, listen, they're not following the rules. Okay, fine. Now let's surveil them and make sure they're going to follow the rules. You see, you have to have a court order. That's what Rand Paul said. You have to have a court order for this. You don't have a court order. Where's the law? Anyway, continuing here. Chippo's legislation would block any kind of aerial surveillance, including both drones and manned aircraft. Moreover, it would provide the use of satellite images, even images that are available to the public. She said complaints about EPA surveillance flights appointed her to introduce the legislation. The EPA confirmed in a letter sent to Chippo in March that aerial overflights are only one of many tools that are used as part of the complex excuse me, complications. No, it's complex assertion assertion process to identify discharging sources that may impact water quality. The bill has referred to the House Judiciary Committee and the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Infowars.com reported on the EPA's surveillance program after Nebraska's congressional delegation sent a joint letter to the EPA Administrator Lisa Jackson. The story was subsequently picked up by a number of other publications, including the Daily Caller, the New American, and Fox News. According to the Billings Guessed, however, the story is bogus. Conservative talk show host Alex Jones published the bogus drone story on his website, Infowars.com, on June 4th, complete with a photograph of a military drone flying through blue skies, writes Tim Leary, whatever his name is. In fact, the photo accompanying the article is of a drone operating by the Department of Homeland Security, not the military. A DHS logo is clearly visible on the craft. Yes, because the Homeland Security is going to be taking over, and we're under FEMA regions, and you're going to do what they say. Because the UN's in charge, not America or the judicial system or anything. No process of law, no nothing. Your country is gone. Why don't we stand up for liberty and freedom so then the country won't be gone? Larry bases his claims that the story is untrue on comments made by Representative Danny Rieberg, a Montana Republican. Rieberg said the EPA flights did not exist, even though you can see it up above and people took pictures of it. But hey, that's okay. He did not, however, provide any evidence to discount the claim originally made his constituents. We can only go so far with what we read in the news, said Ched Link, Rieberg's spokesman. The right-wing establishment media covered the story extensively. There's no drones up in the sky. Hey, there's no TSA on the streets. Hey, there's no checkpoints everywhere. Hey, they're not going to be taking your guns against the Second Amendment. Hey, they're not going to literally blame the Second Amendment and ship the guns over to Mexico. Hey, they're not going to ship opium from Afghanistan to the United States and have $500 billion coming out of it. Hey, there's none of that. Hey, nothing to see here, folks. It's invisible. Hey, maybe I don't exist. Maybe Alex Jones doesn't exist. Hey, maybe this mic doesn't exist that I'm speaking into. Hey, maybe this water doesn't exist that I'm drinking out of. Hey, maybe this bottle doesn't exist. Hey, this paper that I'm reading off of. Hey, that doesn't exist. Hey, everything doesn't exist. Which is total lunacy. All right, anyway, I'm going to be ending this podcast with, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Facebook.com and just type in Madness4life News on the NSA Google search. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, the videos, if you like them. You can like the video that you're listening to, or you can go to Vimeo.com to follow me, or planetinfowars.com and click on the link in my YouTube channel. And remember, united we stand and divided we fall. And I'll be talking to you tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Thank you, and God bless America.